Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we just got the patch notes. I didn't know when these were coming. I figured it would come sometime today, and here they are, v0.6. v0.6 patch notes. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Again, this is the doozy of a patch, so let's see what that looks like, and yeah, we'll go from there. I pressed the wrong button on the wrong monitor. Right here, let's go from there. Patch releasing tomorrow, 12 GMT. This update will result in a period of downtime, likely a few hours, due to the size and content of this patch. Ooh, this may change, so keep an eye out for social channels, yada yada yada. Welcome to Season 2, champions. We're kicking off the new season with a bang. v0.6 brings with it a new hero, the first iteration of our replay system, competitive nights, rewards for season 1, balance changes, and more. Replay system, not spectator mode, competitive nights, rewards for season 1, and balance changes, and more. Let's start by talking about balance. Our focus with this patch is to help build a longer TTK, but we want to set expectations for these changes. They are by no means the single silver bullet that will deliver our TTK goals on the first attempt. What we're delivering in this update is the first step of many directed specifically towards the carry role for now, as their damage output has been the most problematic. As a result, elements such as crit strike damage and hero basic attack scalings are receiving a reduction in power alongside a decrease in potency for many carry items too. To compensate, however, we've shifted some of this damage towards abilities to facilitate clearer trading patterns and windows of strength. This may seem counterproductive to our TTK goals, but alongside targeting a longer TTK, we also wish to complement this by better defining power windows that reward intelligent positioning and smarter ability usage. As well, we'll be reviewing all the data and the feedback, as well as making further balance changes and additional goal with this additional goal in mind. This sounds great. This all sounds good so far. And fear not, it's not all nerfs. This is prepping for other adjustments to heroes such as off-lane jungle-centric Richter buffs to open up his role diversity, Fang Mao mana improvements to help grant him more of presence on the map, and even some love to the face harvest Nettle's ability to make her aggressive playstyle more rewarding. While many changes are still cooking in the Omega ovens and will be rolled out in future patches, the ultimate balance goal is to progressively shift towards a higher TTK environment where unique hero ability interactions and windows of power are better defined, leading to more tactical, engaging, and rewarding combat encounters. This is a lofty goal, and we realize it may take some time to achieve. We also anticipate some growing pains as we progress towards these goals from patch to patch. Rest assured, we will be keeping a close eye on how things are going and will respond swiftly to any undesirable results. Your feedback is vital in helping us get this right, so please do take time to join the official Predecessor Discord or subreddit, where you can leave your feedback and suggestions for the team to read. With all that being said, there's still plenty to come in Season 2, so stay tuned. We'll see you out on the battlefield. Ray, game designer. New hero appears. We have FaZe makes her appearance, so we're going to finally see her full kit and get to read through it. So the Psychic Stray FaZe is the new support hero joining the Predecessor lineup. Her telekinetic powers or telekinetic talents allow her to physically connect with her allies, all while skillfully manipulating the battlefield in her team's favor. Abilities: Essence Catalyst. Effect: after FaZe finishes casting an ability, she gains 20 to 37% attack speed, 10% magic damage on hit, and 5 mana on successful basic attacks for 3 seconds. So I think I read some comments that she used to have like a heal, so it seems more of like a self-steroid after casting the ability. So increase in attack speed, 10% magic damage on hit, and 5 mana on successful basic attacks for 3 seconds. Left mouse button is her range basic attack. Psychic Flare Q, cooldown 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, cost 60 down or up to 80. Effect: blast a flare of psychic energy around FaZe and her linked ally, dealing 70, 115, 155, 195, 235, 70% magic damage scaling. Enemies take 20% damage from a second flare. Interesting. Targets hit that are also facing the flare are blinded for 1 up to 1.4 seconds. Okay, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Energy Lance E, cooldown 20, 18.5, 17, 15.5, 14, cost 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Effect: channeling a beam of pure energy, dealing 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 40% magic damage over 2.5 seconds. Each instance of damage applies a stacking 4% slow that lasts 0.8 seconds. Upon reaching 8 stacks, the target is rooted for 1.25 seconds. The next instance of damage, excluding Energy Lance, will deal 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 40% magic damage to the target. Telekinetic Link, right mouse button, pull CD 24, 22, 20, 18, 16. Pull cost is 50. effect. Applies a link to a targeted ally, granting them 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 physical power. While linked, if reactivated, Phase will pull the linked target towards her. The link will be broken if the target goes out of range or if Phase gets hit by silence or hard CC excluding Root. All right, Hyperflux R. Cooldown 120, 105, 90, cost 100. Phase overcharges herself and her linked ally, granting both a 60, 90, 120% attack speed, 110, 115, 120% movement speed, and 10, 15, 20% omnivamp for 8 seconds. That's pretty wild. That's actually pretty wild. That's a huge attack speed stem. And move speed. Yeah, that's going to go crazy. This kit all sounds really, really good. I'm not very good at just judging the kit based off of looking at it, but Energy Lance seems pretty crazy to me. It's just a lot of CC built into a single move, which is awesome. And yeah, this seems really, really fun. I also instantly want to play a Typhoon and Prophecy mage build on her. So we'll see how that feels at some point. Major improvements. Season 1 rewards. The first season Predecessor has officially ended, which means it's time to collect your end of season rewards. Your player level when the patch goes live will determine the rewards you receive as follows. Level 10, Countess Early Access Season 1 icon. 20, Purple Hex Countess skin. That's so sick. 30 Kira Early Access icon, 40 Occult Kira skin, which is also super sick. 50 plus to 300, or 50 plus equals 300 platinum per 10 levels. So 300 platinum per every 10 levels is pretty awesome. I think I got to like 115. So with the start of season 2, your player level will be reset. We'll release more information about season 2 soon, including the much anticipated roadmap. So stay tuned for more. Oh, I was hoping we would get that in there. So roadmap coming soon. Competitive nights. We're excited to introduce competitive nights to Predecessor starting April 27th. We'll be opening up the competitive night queue for 3 hours every Thursday evening for Europe and NA East regions. To participate, players need to form a party of 5 and go head-to-head against the most skilled teams in the game. All players will start each week with the same matchmaking score. It's a great opportunity to see how high you can climb on the leaderboard before the week is out. Grab 4 friends and get ready to compete in the ultimate test of skill and teamwork. So it's basically like a weekly team ranked queue. I'm sure that they have more plans on the back end of like when this ends at the end of the season kind of thing or something. But it seems like they're keeping that a little bit open-ended. So I'm going to reread that again. We're excited to introduce competitive nights to Predecessor starting April 27th. We'll be opening up the competitive night queue for 3 hours every Thursday evening for Europe and NA East regions. To participate, players need to form a party of 5 and go head-to-head against the most skilled teams in the game. All players will start each week with the same matchmaking score. So it's a great opportunity to see how high you can climb on the leaderboard before the week is out. That's awesome. So we'll see what that feels like. But every Thursday night, that'd be some good fun and good content. I wish they would have put a time on it, but we'll see. It's going to be Thursday evening because if it's on a Thursday, they're going to put it like after work hours. I would assume it's going to be like 7 to 10 p.m., 5 to 8 p.m., 6 to 9 p.m. We'll see what that looks like, right? So it just depends. Replay system beta. I love how they added beta because it's like, yeah, this is going to be big. Okay, this week we've added the first iteration of the much awaited replay and spectator feature. They didn't say that earlier, so we're getting both. That's huge. With this feature, you can now watch back recent matches as well as matches your friends have played. The goal is to empower the community to create more content and support community run events. Currently, the replay keybinds are not displayed in game, but will be in the future. For now, you can find them listed below for both keyboard and mouse and gamepad. This is important because this will be like for production and for people using it. Also, just for the sake of saying, gamepad doing replay stuff is always good because you get that smoothness of the camera with sticks. So if you're someone looking to create content with the replay system, I recommend checking it out. Yeah, definitely check out the gamepad controls potentially. I'm not going to go over this. You can take a look at it if you'd like, and then obviously people that are much more in the production and replay system will kind of probably save this image, right, and keep that somewhere close. This is just the first implementation, so we understand that it might still need some polish. Please do share your feedback, of course. Yeah, we'll definitely tell them what looks good, what doesn't look good. Oh, public API. We're excited to announce that v0.6 will see the release of official public API, which has been developed with the support and collaboration of several community partners. The API provides community developers with the necessary tools to create new applications and features that support, expand, and enrich both Predecessor and the wider community. This is a big patch. Starting tomorrow, these initial community partners will have live access to the public API, which will become more broadly available for other developers in the coming days. Look out for separate blog posts for specific details on how you can access and use this functionality for your own tools and events. As always, our team would like to expand a massive thank you to the community members who helped us deliver this feature. We're excited to see how it's used. I'm excited to see what partners come out with API access. I would assume Pred Tools is probably going to be a big one, so we'll look out for that. Community event, The Hunt. We're pleased to announce that the special profile icon featuring Kira, the winner of our first community event, The Hunt, has been added to the game. All players will receive this reward upon logging in. Cool. New skins. Whoa, dude. Hey, yo, that Sevarog skin looks fire. After anybody means new skins, the following new looks are available for the store. Opaline, I don't know if that's how you say that. Defay, cool. Shadow Lynx Phase, that's pretty fire. And Grand Oracle Sevarog. I need to see more of this. This looks sick, though. Grand Oracle Sevarog. That looks awesome. Other improvements: change Sparrow's portrait to help her stand out from the rest of the cast. Good, thank you. Improve map collision. Cool. Improve the way the target abilities snap to targets. Cool. Recommended items now include tonics. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Improve some visual effects on Sparrow's bow. Tone down some visual effects on some heroes when closer to the camera. Adjusted animations for Belka's Seismic Assault and Kira's Mercy. Various map improvements. Ooh, I wonder what that means. Various map improvements. All right, let's get into the balance changes. Dude, we're like a third of the way down this post, by the way. General changes: critical strike damage. Carries specifically have a tendency to dish out too much raw damage in the later stages of the game once they have their crit builds online. So we're hitting the damage multiplier of crit strikes. While this won't entirely resolve TTK feeling too fast for many players, is purely a crit centric change. This is the first step towards many towards redistributing damage away from basic attack potency and elevating damage windows through other means. So okay, basic crit strike damage decreased from 165 to 160. Okay, that's interesting. So they're just bringing crit strike damage down. Very interesting. Basic attack scaling adjustments. We're redefining the way basic attacks scale with bonus physical power for many heroes. In essence, all heroes have a basic attack scaling, which increases their basic attack damage as they acquire more physical power as any other ability might. But until now, this information was not clearly visible to players. While we've already used this mechanic in several places as a balancing lever for many classes such as mages to reduce their effectiveness when committing to physical power builds, encouraging them to stay within the general confines of their archetype, leaving them unaffected when built conventionally, we believe there is a greater opportunity to provide differentiation between heroes and their basic attacks through these scalings. Likewise, we want to provide greater transparency regarding this mechanic, so the updated basic attack scaling will now be reflected in the ability tooltips so that players can see the impact these ratios have on their hero and therefore making more informed itemization decisions in game. The end result of the crit strike damage and basic attack ratio adjustment is that heroes and classes who invest in physical power and or crit will see a general reduction in their basic attack damage output as the game progresses, better pulling them in line with our TTK goals. Balance adjustments via ability tuning have been granted to many heroes that are heavily impacted by these changes in a bid to better define their trading loops and general play patterns, while the intent of rewarding smart ability usage and playing to each hero's strengths further as opposed to relying on raw basic attack damage to run down an opponent. I mean, to me, this basically just sounds like, hey, less damage on hit, more damage via ability. And to me, that's like, oh, hey, you're making the game have a slightly higher skill ceiling. So, basic attack scaling have been adjusted for various heroes, those affected listed below. Ability description for all heroes now state their basic attack damage and basic attack damage from scalings. This is the part that interests me, and I'm a little confused on, but I'm going to read it. Countess. A quick slice ratio adjustment for the matriarch, the first of many. Slice LMB. Bonus physical power scaling decreased from 100 to 90%. That's so interesting. I feel like I'm not exactly understanding this, but I think I'm going to pick it up over time. Alongside Crunch's basic attacks ratio change, we're redistributing some of his lost basic attack strength back into his passive damage to better reward him when weaving punches between abilities. Left mouse button bonus physical power scaling decreased from 90% to 80%. And cross crunch passive physical power scaling increased from 10% to 15%. Magic power scaling. Okay, so this is making a bit more sense to me. Drongo has found himself in a precarious spot as of late. His ability to disrupt fights with his gag grenade and eject himself from danger has created just a little too much safety. Because of this, we're stripping back the potency of Drongo's utility in some areas, while conversely providing more uptime on his abilities in the later stages of the game to better define his windows of aggression now that his basic attacks are dealing less damage. So pistol shot left mouse button, bonus physical power scaling decreased from 90% to 80%. Gag grenade radius decreased from 350 to 300. Rad rounds cooldown decreased from 14 from static 14 to 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. First shot damage increased from 40, 60, 80, 100, 120 to 40, 55, 70. I said increased, I think. I meant decreased. 40, 60, 80, 100, 120 to 40, 55, 70, 85, 100. Old rusty right mouse button cooldown changed from 9, 8.5, 8, 7.57 to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Mana cost decreased from 60, 65, 70, 75, 80 to static 60. Shrapnel Cannon R, base damage increased from 175, 300, 425 to 200, 325, 450. Physical armor shred duration decreased from 8 seconds to 4 seconds. Self knockback distance decreased from 1,000 units to 800 units. Okay, so a little bit less self peel. Some slight changes. Okay, some slight changes to Drongo. And it's so, like, with this being such a big shakeup patch, it's going to be one of those things where I don't know if I'm going to have a lot of hard thoughts on these. Like, it's such a big change that I think it's like, okay, I'm going to read it. I'm going to take it at face value. I'm going to go play, and we're going to see what it feels like. Because I can't really anticipate how this is going to feel. Or at least I don't want to make an assumption and just be wrong. Feng Mao. As much as Feng Mao loves to take the short trays and rotate through abilities, he finds himself restricted by a relatively low mana pool. By granting his Guardian Shield a lower mana cost and increasing his mana growth, Feng Mao should find himself feeling more liberated when using his shield for short trades, alongside generally suffering less from mana issues. I feel this. Base mana growth increased from 50 to 55. Left mouse button, bonus physical. So they're just always listing the bonus physical power scaling for auto attacks. Decreased from 90% to 80%. Guardian Shield Q, mana cost decreased from 60 to 50. So slight changes to Feng Mao. Gideon, a quick shift in scaling to better reward Gideon's nail their opponents with a well-timed Void Breach and a full combo rather than relying heavily on his Cosmic Rift ability. So Cosmic Rift Q, magic scaling decreased from 70% to 65%, with the right mouse button kind of picking up that. So just slight damage shift for Gideon, which I think will probably feel unnoticeable. Grux, similar to Feng Mao, Grux struggles with low mana pool in the mid-game, often crippling his ability to pressure opponents with proactive ability use. By improving his mana pool and making his double pain more of a potent trading tool now that his basic attack ratio is reduced, the Rhino should find more success and sometimes more failure when opting in for trades. So general base mana growth increased from 40 to 50. Left mouse button bonus physical power scaling decreased from 90% to 80%. Double pane right mouse button total physical power scaling increased from 110% to 120%. So slight buffs to Grux. Howitzer's ability to output large amounts of damage at a safe distance has been a little overwhelming lately, particularly as he acquires his first few items. We're taking a bit of oomph out of these mid to late game missiles to help decrease the frustration of dealing with a well-equipped mech. So slight nerf. Q power scaling, magic power scaling decreased from 75 to 70%. Okay. We'll see. That feels like a slap on the wrist, and I think that that's okay because he does stand above the rest of the cast, but these are some big changes, so I don't want to be too heavy-handed on my opinion of this conservative change, but we'll see how he feels, and if he's still on top of the mages, that's not necessarily a bad thing. We'll see. Kallari. While the basic attack ratio decrease will slightly impact Kallari's ability to output damage and clear the jungle, it should be marginal due to her preferred play pattern. We'll be keeping an eye on her and revisiting her in the future if she requires compensation. Okay, so just okay, that's interesting. Whereas it feels like they've made some compensation or some compensatory decisions with Kallari, they don't think it's going to be that big of an issue, so we'll see. Chimera, while everyone's favorite spirit hunter is generally in a stable spot, he's been struggling lately with his early game potency. By opting for a harsher reduction in his basic attack ratio, we can provide Chimera with greater scaling and cleave in his ult unleash ability, defining his window of power further while improving his early jungle presence alongside giving a subtle nudge to his offlane viability. I actually love this. I don't know about I guess technically it'll give us a subtle nudge to his offlane viability, but this is actually perfect because the thing that sucks about Chimera is that he's good. It's just like for a really main jungler, his like early jungle clear is like not good, and it kind of sucks. So obviously they're doing this thing where they're pulling bonus physical power scaling back on auto attack, and they're doing so, but they're going to buff up his Q. So that's what they're saying, like creating those powers of those windows of power. That's his Q essentially. So this actually seems like this is going to be a net positive for Chimera. Scaling increase from 35% to 40%. Cleave increase from 50% to 70%. Yeah, I think this is going to help Chimera a pretty decent amount. Ambush, right mouse button, base damage increase from 50, 75, 100, 125, 150 to 60, 80, 110, 135, 160. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think that this is a slight nudge, or like a decent nudge in the right direction for Chimera to help out some of that early game clear and give him more of that early to mid game presence that he's kind of missing out on. So Kira, in the spirit of openings up Kira's build diversity and rewarding her trading loops, we're shifting Dust to deal physical damage, no longer punishing her as harshly when opting for penetration builds, as well as granting more damage when purifying targets at a single stack. The changes to critical strike damage will also impact the potency of not just her basic attacks, but Purge and Mercy too. With all of this in mind, we've redistributed power among her abilities to ensure Kira is adequately rewarded when weaving in Mercy shots and or combining Dusk with a well-timed ultimate. So left mouse button, change. Dusk Q, damage type changed from magical to physical. Okay. Added 30, 35, 40, 45, 50 base damage to the Dusk. Damage per additional stack decreased from 16, 22, 28, 34, 40 to 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And scaling per stack increased from 20% to 25%. Max damage changed from 96, 132, 168, 204, 240 to 90, 125, 160, 195, and 230. So this is really interesting. It's really hard to read this because there's so many changes. Scaling per stack increased by 5%. The max damage came down slightly. The damage per stack came down a small amount. And then they added a flat damage to it. Dude, there's so much change there. I actually, like, I'm sure one of the devs could say, like, oh yeah, that's a slight net buff. Or like, oh yeah, that's a slight net nerf. But it's so hard to know. And then on top of item changes that are coming. So, her E lockout window decreased. Okay, and then right mouse button lockout window decreased. Okay, this is another one of those we just got to see. That's how I feel like carries are going to feel right now. There's just so much change coming. We just have to see. Lieutenant Bellica's Void Drone often felt bad to use due to the gold she can unwillingly hand over to an opponent that destroys it, thus artificially accelerating their gold gain by decreasing the gold reward. That's awesome. That's honestly such a good change because it was so silly that they just got so much gold. All right, gold undestroyed 20 to 10. Very nice change for Bellica. I think she's in a good spot. All right, here's another one. Murdoch's access to utility and safety via his traps and Stimpack often left him in a position of overbearing strength against melee heroes. To better define his weaknesses, not only in his damage, seeing a reduction with the crit damage and basic attack ratio change, but we're also removing the slow immunity in his Stimpack and scaling down the size of his traps. It's not all bad, though. We're also improving his ability to trade blows with buckshot from afar and offering him a slight increase in uptime on the ability. Collectively, this should ensure that Murdoch thinks twice about his positioning and keeping his opponents at a healthy distance, lest he fall prey to aggressive foes. Okay, this feels like a nice shift, not just a nerf shift. Left mouse button change. I'm not going to read those anymore. Static traps Q, root duration decreased from 1.25 seconds to 1 second. Radius decreased from 150 to 135. Stimpack, slow immunity removed. Buckshot damage, right mouse button. Fall off range decreased from 60% to 50%. Damage increased 75, 112.5, 150, 160. That's got to be a. I think that this is a typo. I'm going to read that as 162.5, not 1162.5. 200, 275, 110, 145, 180, 215. So slight increase in damage. Total physical power scaling decreased from 112.5, 125, 137.5, 150, 162.5 to 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. And cooldown decreased by 1 second at every change. Okay. Another one. Like we gotta see. We got to see how it feels. This one does feel a bit more of like a targeted nerf. But again, it's just impossible to say for now. Narbash, super simple this week, like the big old man himself. Less wallop for the orc without changing how handsome he is. What? Okay, they basically are just doing the physical power scaling decrease. All right, Phase. Since her reveal, many of you noted that Phase didn't really have a reason to be linked to a target outside of simply being able to yoink or yeet them into battle. Yet those are extremely technical and tactical battle terms. To help, we've added some token physical power to her linked ally to encourage her to pick an aggressive target to connect with. It's weird that they've balanced her pre-release. Is that what we're saying here? So right mouse button, link target gains 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 physical power based on link level. Maybe I'm confused with this because they could have just listed this, or maybe people did notice this, so they added this post. That's weird. This is all a weird, interesting ordeal. That's fine. Rampage swipe got a little less swipey. Yep, simple change. Revenant, another carry. Yeah, the carry ones that they're going to have me scratching my head because I don't really play carries anyway. So Revenant has lost some late game damage through his passive and Hellfire rounds alongside a slight reduction in his Bounty Hunter gold gain and early Obliterate threat to ensure his trading pattern in lane is less oppressive and snowbally. However, due to still having 100% basic attack ratio, he's no longer as overly punished for building non-crit itemization and maintains the oomph of landing a well-timed 4th shot early on. So, Bounty Hunter passive base gold gain decreased from 50 to 25. Bonus physical power decreased from 6.5 to 15% to 5.75 to 10%. Okay. Obliterate Q base damage decreased from 50, 70, 90, 110, 130 to 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Range decreased from 1750 to 1550. Good. Good. His Q is so annoying. Hellfire rounds, right mouse button, critical strike multiplier changed from 140, 147, 154, 161, 168, 175 to 145, 150, 155, 160, 165, 170%. Another, yeah, like I said, for the carries, for me, it really is just going to feel like a hit. Let's see what they feel like whenever this all comes to fruition. Richter has struggled to perform ever since his Riplash ability took a hit to its mana cost. While this was necessary to reduce his support dominance, it proved too punishing and diminished his ability to function in alternate roles. Alternative roles. To encourage greater role diversity, we're giving Richter some extra love in offlane and jungle positions. I'm not sure if I agree with this, but we'll see. Without overly improving his support viability, providing clearer windows of strength or weakness based on the status of his Riot Shield, and ensuring smart usage of Riplash does not always leave him feeling starved for mana. General, base health regeneration decreased from 1.4 to 1, base mana increased from 280 to 320, base mana growth increased from 40 to 50, base mana regeneration decreased from 2 to 1.6. Passive, Riot Shield scaling increased from 12% to 15%, Whip, that's his physical scaling on the auto attack. Electrocute E, mana decreased from 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 to 60, 50, 65, 70, 75, 80. Decreased mana. Okay, I thought that was damage. My bad. So decreased mana. Now deals 20% additional damage to monsters. Okay. I mean, this is an interesting change to me because I genuinely feel like Richter is like one of the best junglers in the game. And that's going to feel good. Okay, Richter jungle it is. Sevarog. The Reaper's ability to heal from using Siphon on a minion wave results in too much sustain, leaving interactions with Sevarog feeling rather stagnant. For now, we're stripping back some of the healing to provide greater windows of punishment before he stacks up and becomes a menace. That sounds fine. Any healing decrease from 10% to 5%. Yeah, that sounds fine. Shinbi. Shinbi's empowering passive attacks now applies a track stack from her ultimate to her target. Okay. Now applies a stack of track on the empowered basic attack. Interesting. We'll see if how that feels. Cool. Seems small. Sparrow, very small change. While strong in her own right, Sparrow is relatively underrepresented among the carry roster, with TTK slowing down for carries via itemization crit damage changes. She naturally becomes more relevant due to her passive percentage health damage component. While she may need further adjustment in the future, we've opted to wait to dust the... Okay, yeah, so they're going to wait and see how she feels in the wake of all these changes and go from there, which I think is smart in some ways, because some of these changes are they're going to be pretty big swings. It's hard to anticipate. Steel's ability to take short trades is rather potent due to the safety of his passive shield. To create more counterplay, we're dropping the duration of his passive shield to better define his windows of strength, while also providing more windows of punishment should he overstep. So, passive shield duration decreased from 5 seconds to 3.5 seconds. Okay. Interesting. The Fae struggles to keep pace with her counterparts due to how punishing failing to chain harvest nettles together can be. Her overall mana pool can be to her overall mana pool. To help her out, we're giving her a little love in the mana department to reward aggressive Faes for proactively opting for those longer, more aggressive trades. Interesting. Mana cost decreased of her E from 80 to 60. I don't really feel like that's enough of a buff to her, but we'll see. All right. Items. Vision Sentry. Sentry's uptime has proven a little too oppressive for ward denial as of late, while there are various areas that we can improve. For now, we're simply cutting back on Sentry's uptime, 15 seconds to 12 seconds. Okay, I think that's fine. I'll get used to that. Crest, Consort, Guardian, Keeper, Warden Crest. Supports have been gaining slightly too much gold in the early stages relative to where we want them to be, so we're nudging it down prior to the crest completion. This should also have the added benefit of slowing down how fast mages in the support role can reach their item spikes, while traditional supports picks remain less affected due to their cheap item choices. Passive gold per change decreased from 25 to 20. Evolved gold required decreased from 300 to 240. Okay. Brutal Axe, the attack speed component of Purifying Rage's Cleanse gave a large amount of aggressive utility to an otherwise defensive crest. We're removing it to better define the theme of the item's anti-CC and to reduce some of the general stat bloat it possesses. Physical power decreased from 25 to 20. Health increased from 125 to 200. Purifying Rage attack speed removed. Interesting. Okay. See, that's the thing though. Like it's changes like this that lead me to wanting to take like Liberator on some characters, right? Granted, it does come with nice health, so we'll see how that plays out in the long term. Eviscerator, slight bump down in scaling for Eviscerator's first shot. Subsequent shot remain unaffected as carries that manage to successfully pump an opponent deserve the reward of significant damage amp over fight. Rendering strike scaling decreased from 18% to 15%. Okay. Liberator status as a defensive cleanse option is enticing for many carries. However, given the size of the shield, the amount of raw lifesteal it provides, Liberator offers a little too much safety and durability for carries. We're giving it a slight hit to its defensive capabilities. So lifesteal decreased from 8% to 5%. Purifying guard shield level scaling removed. Okay, so a little bit of a nerf to Liberator, or like a decent nerf to Liberator. Pacifier's ability to dash and chain kills together provides for some great skill expression. However, the ability to burst an opponent with its effect can be too high due to its benefiting from counter critical strikes. In the spirit of gearing towards a higher TTK, we're no longer allowing Adrenalize's damage to double up with critical strikes, thus opening the crest up for further to non-crit build paths and further normalizing its damage potential across a match. Adrenalize bonus damage can no longer critically strike, and bonus physical power scaling increased from 20% to 25%. Okay. Witchstalker was a little heavy in the sustain department, so it's receiving a slight decrease in Omnivamp and getting a bump in bonus physical pen to better fit its assassin style archetype. Bonus physical penetration increased from 4 to 6. Omnivamp decreased from 6% to 4%. I actually like all of these changes. It just feels like nerfs to everything, but I think that's not a bad thing. Tier 1 Codex. Codex was providing a little too much value relative to other magic power items, so we're bumping it down back to its intended efficiency as not overshadow other options. So magic power decreased from 15 to 12. So level 1 mages, they get a small nerf pretty much. Tier 2 Ironwood Warbow. The quick shift to stat profile of Ironwood Warbow provides a little less raw bang for its buck while better defining its theme of repeated attacks. Physical power decreased from 25 to 20. Attack speed increased from 10 to 15. Zap base damage decreased from 20 to 15. Ruthless Broadsword. The existence of ability haste on Ruthless Broadsword bloated the item and forced the stat upon its tier 3 counterparts. We're removing it to allow us to better define the stat lines of the item and those it builds into. So cost decreased from 1400 to 1300, physical power increased from 20 to 25, and removed ability haste on the Ruthless Broadsword. Okay, carry items. Absolution. We're eating a rampage rock to the face is hardly ever a pleasant experience. Absolution's damage mitigation resulted in too much durability for its wielders. Likewise, the general stat provided by it as a result of its determined passive made it incredible as both an aggressive and defensive tool. As a result, removing the second passive to better define the item and make it more accessible through a cheaper cost. So cost decreased from 3,300 to 3,150. Bravery damage mitigation decreased from 25% to 20%, and determined passive removed. I forget what that is. What was the second passive? I hate that they didn't list that. This is always the bad thing about their patch notes. I really wish they would just show us the items side by side. I know that that's a lot of work, but it would be nice. I'm looking up the item. Absolution. Determined. Gain 1% attack speed for every 3% missing health. Okay, so yeah, so it doesn't have its like attack speed ramp. Yeah, I thought this item was a little bloated for a bit. Even though it wasn't getting build too often, it's still like a pretty bloated item. Okay. Breach. Percent penetration is extremely potent effect, so we're increasing the investment required to access it. That's fine with me. 100 gold increase. Demolisher. Similar to Breach, a quick bump up in price for Demolisher due to its value as a percent penetration item is it's tax season after all. It is tax season after all, right? It is. Cost increase from 2,900 to 3,000. Lightning Hawk as raw potency as an all-around damage and utility tool makes it an incredible first buy for many heroes and contributes greatly to the damage output a carry can deal. We're stripping back its general power to ensure carries don't hit quite as hard, quite as fast. Physical power decrease from 50 to 45. The chilling zap scaling decrease from 75 to 50%. Chilling zap slow magnitude decrease from 30. Okay, so yeah, Lightning Hawk nerfs across the board. Kingsbane, a mixed damage profile can be incredibly difficult to itemize against, so we're transitioning Kingsbane on hit damage to physical damage to enable opponents to better defend themselves with additional armor. Likewise, we're shifting its the effectiveness of its passive to be less potent in the early game, but scale more appropriately into the late game, better curving the on-hit path. So chaos damage type changed from magical to physical. Chaos base damage decreased from 15 to 10. Chaos scaling increased from 10% to 15%. Order base healing decreased from 15 to 10. Okay, so there's some increased damage scaling, a little less sustain on it, and it's now coming out as physical damage, so armor actually affects Kingsbane's users. Resolution, a quick nerf to Resolution's physical power to ensure it stays in line with other options. Physical power 45 to 40. Sky Splitter's ability to cut through tanks could sometimes prove a little overwhelming, so we're knocking it down a peg or two. Attack speed increase from 30 to 35, so more of an attack speed option, and then the rend damage percentage is 3 to 2.5%, so a slight percentage HP nerf on Sky Splitter. Viper, the presence of ability haste on Viper convoluted its identity and was largely unnecessary. Due to many carries receiving a small buffs to their ability cooldowns, this shouldn't feel too punished for its absence, so Viper loses its ability haste. Tainted rounds could dish out some insane damage, often beating out other alternatives at various stages of a match while offering anti-heal to boot. To help make it fit more appropriately, we've squashed down its damage potential to keep it in line. Fear not, it remains a valuable pickup should carry need to put down a rabid chimera or two. So Wicked Strike's physical power scaling changed from 12% total physical power to 15% bonus physical power. That's a pretty big change. Wicked Strike's physical power scaling decreased from 25% to 20%. So it's more of like a targeted anti-heal item now, as opposed to just being giga strong all the time. Which it's still probably going to be strong because it still has crit on it. So the raw durability of Terminus reset mechanic resulted in unnatural windows of durability and safety for carries, even if they mispositioned. To better define the importance of intelligent positioning for carries, we've opted to no longer grant Terminus users a shield on takedown, instead of letting the item exist strictly as a strong sustain option rather than one that has potential to turn a carry into an unkillable machine under certain conditions. Endless passive removed. Nice. Yeah, nice. Vanquisher, quick shift in numbers to better define Vanquisher as a burst option via penetration to better suit those carries looking to blow up an opponent in a shorter window. Looking at you, Drongo, rather than serving as an all-purpose DPS stick. Physical power decreased from 50 to 14, or for 45. Physical penetration increased from 10 to 12. Okay, that's a slight change. Deathstalker, as a result of the change to Ruthless Broadsword, we can provide Deathstalker with a little more raw bang for its buck. So cost decreased from 3,100 to 30,000. Physical power increased from 40 to 45. Ability haste decreased from 20 to 10. Interesting. Okay. Fighter, Basilisk. Similar to Deathstalker, we can now shift the recipe for Basilisk, as Ruthless Broadsword no longer provides ability haste, better suiting it to fighters that love to pick it up. Health increased from 250 to 300. Recipe changed from Ruthless Broadsword Saber Vitality Beads to Ruthless Broadsword Violet Brooch Vitality Beads. Okay, so yeah, they're making that change off the Ruthless Broadsword. Draconum's ability to stack its surge effect by a hero simply engaging in combat made the condition more like a permanent effect rather than the one that you play for. By adjusting it to be more deliberate and proactive in its stat condition, Draconum users will now have to better consider how to approach a fight if they want to receive its benefits. Physical armor increased from 35 to 40. Surge changed from dealing and receiving any damage from any source to dealing damage with basic attacks and abilities to enemy heroes or monsters. So this is much more committal, because you can't like walk into the fight getting Draconum stacked up. You're gonna like have to get into the fight and do things with it to get it stacked up. Surge duration changed from until out of combat to 5 seconds. This feels like a pretty big change for only adding 5 armor. I'm not sure that this is going to be worth it on some fighters without maybe having added a bit of health to it. If they maybe added like 150 or 200 health, this is an item I like a lot, so I have a lot of thoughts on it. I need to see how it feels, because like at least in past, like with past Draconum, like having a little bit of armor but no health, going into the fight, you knew that this was going to be stacked up and you knew that you were going to get value out of it. But now that you don't have that guaranteed value and the surge duration is until out of combat to 5 seconds, might be a bit of a risk to take this over just taking a tankier option. Like actually just picking up an armor health item that you know is not necessarily going to increase your healing or give you additional damage, but it's like the question of, does staying alive give you more damage kind of thing. So Mage, Tainted Scepter. Mages often felt restricted when trying to apply Blight to enemies with Tainted Scepter due to its application being tied to ability cooldowns. To alleviate this, we provided some extra uptime to its Blight effect to better suit your typical spell slinger. Nice. Okay. 3 seconds to 4 seconds on Blight duration. Jungle, Cyan buff. The Cyan buff was gaining a little too much experience in the later stages of the game, which could often lead to excessive snowballing when uncontested. While it remains an important mini objective, we've opted to nudge its experience reward down a touch to bring it in line with the broader economy. Okay, so XP per growth, and it decreased from 20 to 15. Gold buff, much like its name suggests, has been providing a little too much gold. Not only could this result in yet more extreme cases of snowballing when it's uncontested and gobbed up repeatedly by a single carry, but it also place carries further ahead of the gold curve relative to other roles, allowing them to access to items a little too fast. As a result, we're dropping the overall gold it grants as a match progresses. This ensures that carries do not unnaturally accelerate their builds as frequently, while also allowing them to feel more freedom in leaving the duo lane when team play and grouping becomes more required. So health growth decreased from 90 to 70, gold growth per minute decreased from 8 to 4, max gold decreased from 200 to 140. Okay. And then we got a stack of bug fixes. Fixed a bug where Prophecy's hasty passive was incorrectly stating 75% scaling instead of 60%. Fixed a bug where Basilisk was incorrectly granting 350 max health instead of its intended amount. Fixed a bug causing vision to break after disconnecting. Fixed a bug causing players to be unable to reconnect. Fixed a bug causing Revenant to be pulled out of the Nether Realm, leaving the target trapped inside. Fixed a bug causing Augmentation's overclock passive to work improperly. Fixed Rogue and Magician Crest to correctly stack with Kira's Mercy. Fix Kira's Mercy to always correctly refunded half the cooldown when hitting a target. Fix the shift modifier, bind blocking rebind to shift. Fix Crunch's recrunch not triggering Augmentation's overclocked passive. Fixed a bug causing Hunt to not show its evolution in the items tab. Fixed an issue where Scalding, Scepter, and Caustica descriptions were not displaying the magical penetration as % magical penetration. Tonics on core items plus middle recommended slot once player has full tier 3 items. Fixed an issue where Fang Mao's Earth Shatter bonus movement speed was being applied to Tectonic Mallet's power conversion passive. This movement speed is intended to improve the feel of the ability and does not count towards conventional movement speed. Okay, fixed a rare bug that sometimes caused the basic attacks to incorrectly trigger with no player input. Okay, so that's all this week. Let us know what you think. This is a doozy of an update. It took me 42 minutes to read through it all. I have a lot of thoughts about how I think this is going to play out, but it's really all pivoting off of the carries, right? Like there's not a lot of huge changes for certain characters that I'm like, oh my god, that's wild. It's mostly the carries, and I just have to wait and see what that feels like paired with some of these item changes and just the natural pulling damage out of basic attacks to be more focused on abilities, which I think is a much better change across the board. I think that's better for everybody. We're playing a hero game, right? We want to lend our abilities. So Phase is coming out, friends. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for future Predecessor content. Be sure to leave a comment on that. Tell someone you love them. I'll see you on the next video.